the Intimidator, the ultimate monster truck. Today on Tuff Trax, the Grave Digger.
Nobody but nobody can beat the Grave Digger in Freedom Hall.
From out of the shadows it comes, lurking in the darkness, surrounded by an aura of mystery from the depths of the unknown. What is this mystic machine from a dimension beyond, created in a world that few know, yet fewer understand? It is the Intimidator from the land of the dead. It is the ultimate monster truck, the Grave Digger, a superstar on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. And now he haunts Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky. 2 days of racing, head-to-head and side-by-side with the world's best monster trucks. And on this dark night in Louisville, will Mad Dog be the next headstone on the side of the Grave Digger? Let's watch and find out. The Grave Digger is cursed tonight, but that's his style, even in a qualifying race. Aggressive and unrelenting daredevil, the crowd favorite. Parts from the black and green machine strewn about the race course. Now, Dennis Anderson and his crew will work the graveyard shift to get the Grave Digger back to the line in time.
Right there, a qualification. There, I got it. Where's that other one? Sling it down here somewhere.
Get the Allen wrenches, knock that damn ticket back way. Dale!
Yeah.
No.
Have a screwdriver. Got a hammer out here?
I do the drive shaft right as soon as I come off the ramp or what?
How much do you need?
Hell, man, it'll take me down. It'll take us 10 more minutes, probably 5 to 10 minutes.
He says it'll be at least 5 more minutes.
We can't wait that long, Scott. If we didn't do it, Amanda, we can't do it here. Steve Ravy?
All right, well, go for it then. Do whatever you got to do.
So the Grave Digger is defeated this night in Louisville, Kentucky. But don't count out Dennis Anderson. The Grave Digger will rise from the dead and haunt the superstars of the TNT Monster Truck Challenge.
Dennis Anderson, he's a wimp. He's all the time saying he's real fast. We met about 5 times last year, and I beat him about 3 out of 5, and I don't think he's that bad. He never could keep his stuff together. If he's gonna run with me, he's gonna have to keep it together.
Tuff Trax is brought to you by Micro Machines, the #1 colossally collectible vehicles in the world. If it doesn't say Micro Machines, it's not the real thing. A long night of wrenching on the Grave Digger comes to an end with the dawn of the second day of racing in Louisville, Kentucky. Dennis Anderson, its creator, owner, and pilot, pauses to recall the birth and evolution of a monster truck called the Grave Digger.
Well, I started out mud bog, and it's been 1982. I built the first grave digger. It was a 51 Ford pickup truck. Had small tires on it. They were big compared to everybody else's then, but compared to what I have now, they're really itty-bitty tires. But anyway, I started out mud bogging, and I was dominating in the mud and kept winning, and everybody was out. As far as my competitor guys that built mud bog rigs, they were out to get the grave digger. So really, the guys at home chased me to where I am today. Well, I made the name up one night. It was real late in the shop. We'd finished the truck up, and we're going to the mud bog the next day, and I said, man, I need to put me a name on the side of this truck. And I've been picking on my buddy there for that week, and I told him that he had a real nice, shiny street truck, and I told him I'd take this old truck and dig him a grave with it, you know. And so I sat there and thought about that, and I said, well, I'll call it Grave Digger. So I got up and took some masking tape, and taped off Grave Digger on the side of it, took me a spray can of paint, sprayed over the tape, put me a big black spot on the side of it. I peeled the tape off, the Grave Digger showed up on the side of it. So I went to the mud bog, and the name really got hooked in good with the people, because I won the first mud bog I went to. Come back the next month, and I won again. So really people, the announcer really loved the name Grave Digger, you know, and so it hung in there with me, you know, and then I kept on just making the truck a little bit better, because I had guys that was competing against me. They'd get a little bit closer to me, so I'd just do something a little bit better than they did, go with a little big, you know, a little bigger tire, and I just kept advancing in tire sizes until I finally had a monster truck, because I was crushing cars with a mud bog rig too. And I was the first one in our area to crush cars at a mud bog, because the guy wanted to do something special that weekend. It was a Grave Digger birthday party. They're calling it a Monster Bog Bash. And I crushed a set of cars down in Creeds in Pungo, Virginia.
The Grave Digger certainly doesn't look like your typical monster truck. Part of the Grave Digger mystique is the unusual body style. Dennis Anderson strives to be a little different from the others.
I found this truck behind a guy's barn down in North Carolina in Little Washington, and it used to be a Clearview television repair truck. And I bought it, you know, I bought the truck from him, brought it home, and I guess I had it for about a year and a half, and I was just making plans, and then we finally just pounced on it with all fours and started going for it. And, you know, we got the truck assembled, and here we are. You look at all these other monster trucks out here, you know, you see a Ford Chevrolet. It's more or less, if you've seen one, you've seen them all as far as body style. There's different things that's different underneath them. They got different paint jobs on them. But mine more or less sticks out like a sore thumb. Nobody's got a 1950 Chevrolet panel truck on the circuit, especially with one of the wildest paint jobs like this truck has got. And as far as the kids now, they love the red headlights. And that's, you know, and the truck it's got a reputation of not winning all the time. It gets some wild passes, and that's what the people like, you know. So my reputation is that, you know, when I come out to run that truck, I'm there to satisfy the fans. I want to picture myself, or, you know, if I was sitting in the stands, I'd do out there what I'd like to see. I like to see somebody rage and go berserk as far as really jumping the cars, getting air, doing something awesome like that. So that's why I get out and perform like I do.
When is the Grave Digger running full tilt? Call it red lights at night, the digger's delight. Red lights in the morning, the competition's warning. 2 red lights say it all, beware of the Grave Digger.
And after the paint job was done, I had regular headlights in it. And at the time I was building me a hauling rig, and I was building it out of a school bus. Okay, well, I took the red lights out of the school bus and put sheet metal over top of the holes. Well, I had these red lights in the shop, and as I was getting my truck painted, I had the headlights out of it, and I got looking at the headlights, and I said, hey, these red lights will fit in my truck. It'll go along with the spooky graveyard scene and the flames and everything. So I put them on, and when we lit the lights up, I said, that's awesome. You know, that just fits the truck to the T right there. So normally I turn the headlights on when I'm gonna put the truck on kill. You know, go for blood, I flip the headlights on so they know that everything's all right and I'm ready to rock it.
What sinister mind designed the Grave Digger? Who concocted the foggy graveyard with tombstones bearing victims' names? Who brushed on the specter of the Grim Reaper keeping the gates? Chris Chapman finds out.
I'm in front of a monster truck with probably one of the most spectacular paint jobs of any of the monster trucks racing. Dennis Anderson, where did you come up with this paint job?
Well, I made the name up Grave Digger from mud bogging. Then I got with Fred Buman, my friend here, from Fred's Custom Auto Art from Norfolk, Virginia. He came up with a paint scheme to go along with the name. And Fred can kind of take over from there because he came up with the artwork, and I really disagreed with him at first. He talked me into it. He laid the paint job on the truck, and I had to live with it, but it looked super good when it got through.
Fred, where did you get this idea? How did it come together?
Years of reading Mystery Mansion magazine, Haunted House, Creeper, all the nice little comic books your mommy doesn't want you to touch. The whole idea has come from there.
This paint job cannot be done, obviously, in a day. What does that take to get that job complete?
Well, it takes my son and I 7 days to do a truck from the time it's black until the time we're ready to clear it. That's about 14 hours a day, and about half that time is spent nothing but tape work. You have to tape everything up before you start, then you start untaping as you paint.
Dennis, you said you didn't like the colors. Why not?
Well, I didn't think that green on a black truck was going to work, and I told Fred that. But he just told me to back out, let me take care of it. The job's mine. Just leave me alone until it's done. That's what I did, and it turned out great.
So, Fred, what did you have to do to get Dennis to see things your way in regards to this paint job?
First off, I had to do a sketch for him. Then I had to show him colors, and then we argued about it. And then I did my final thing I do with all customers. I said, take a hike for about 7 days, leave the truck with me, and come back. If you don't like it, I'll redo it. If you do like it, it goes on the road. And that's what happened. It ended up on the road.
That's the creation of the Grave Digger. The crew continues to prepare for its return from the dead in Louisville, Kentucky.
Everybody's so afraid of the Grave Digger because of a cheap paint job on the truck. It's just another old Chevrolet. He shouldn't even be out here with it. If he's not going to improve the thing, he better keep getting on it and better get ahead of everybody. And he better stay ahead of me before the end of the year, because I'm not afraid of him. He's nothing. I've already proved that 3 or 4 times. He's almost wrecked his truck to stay ahead of me.
Revenge is near. But first, you now know all about the exterior of the Grave Digger, the evolution from mud bogger to monster truck. You know about the origin of the unique body and the devious mind behind the paint scheme. But what makes the Grave Digger tick? What electronic and motorized marvels of mankind propel this truck? Imagine 12,000 pounds soaring 30 feet high at 60 miles per hour. Dennis Anderson takes us inside the guts of the Grave Digger.
Okay, here we are in the cockpit of the Grave Digger. Everybody always wants to see inside of the truck. They want to know if the inside of the truck looks as good as the outside does. My opinion, no, it doesn't. It's basically a simple truck. The show time is over with. This is a race truck. It's just as simply built as you can build it. We've got a tachometer for the RPMs of the motor. We've got 3 gauges in the whole cockpit. One is the oil temperature, and one's the oil pressure. And then over here are switches. We have toggle switches for the ignition, for electric cooling fans on the transmission, electric fans on the cooling system for water, the headlights. We've got an automatic primer here. The motor starts on gas and runs on alcohol. And the tachometer here, I've had a lot of questions. They want to know what this red light is. This is called a pro light. This hooks up to your oil system. You put different sending units in it, so if your oil pressure gets down below 35 pounds of oil pressure, this red light comes on and indicates to you that your oil is hot, is getting thin, or something's messed up in the motor. You need to shut it down before you trash it. Okay, my tachometer is jiggling around because of electric fan, but it doesn't do that when the motor's running. Okay, you flip this after each run, this records the RPMs. It's called a tattletale tachometer. It tells you how many RPMs you turned your motor. You flip the switch. My last pass, I turned the motor 8,500 RPMs. Okay, before I pull to the line again, I always check my tach. I put it up on recall is what it's called, and it tells you, record your RPMs. Okay, you clear your tach, you push a button, it zeroes your tach back in, and you're ready for the next run. And another thing, I've got a steering wheel. The steering wheel, when I first started getting in and out of the truck, it was tough to get in and out of, so I said, I'm gonna put me a steering wheel in like a stock car's got. And I changed the seat around, so naturally I don't take the steering wheel out now to get in it, but when I'm in here working on the truck, I've got a pin down here that you pull out. It's pretty tough to get out. It doesn't come out that easy all the time. And you just get the wheel off, and you can get down to the floor, work on your wiring, because all my wiring is behind this console over here. We've got a hot foot accelerator. They use this in offshore boat racing. It's got a strap in it to keep your foot strapped into the pedal here, and this pedal is sturdy enough that you can actually brace your foot. If you've got it on the floor, you You really don't have to have it all on the floor, but you can brace in this pedal and you won't damage it. It's a pretty rugged pedal. The brake pedal, it's pretty simple. It's got a dual master cylinder. You've got a swivel down here at the bottom. You can adjust the brakes, the front and the back, tighten them or loosen them or make them equal pressure. It's got 2 master cylinders, whereas like a normal car's only got 1 master cylinder on. This has got 2 master cylinders. And the brakes work very good. You have to have good brakes to stop these big wheels, but we've designed these brakes through the last couple of years, and they've been working real good for us. And this switch here is for rear steer. I don't run rear steer all the time, but this is turning it to the left, it turns it to the right. We've been drag racing all year, so I unhooked the rear steer so we don't have something else to worry about keeping fixed on the truck. And basically that's it besides safety deals in the truck. Here we've got a roll cage, a 6-point roll cage in it. As you can see, I got my helmet over here. This is a neck brace that you put on. Your helmet sets down over top of it, so it keeps your head from slamming around so bad, giving you whiplash. Then I've got this harness in here. It's a 4-point harness, and this is very critical in monster truck nowadays. A lap belt used to do it. You wear a lap belt now, pal, you're in trouble. When they tell you to buckle up in a monster truck, you better buckle up, and I mean tight. But this deal works just like what's in an airplane. It all hooks together. 4-point. Fasten this up and get yourself as tight as you can there. When I drive to the line, I keep myself loose so I can hang out and look out the windows. Once I get up to the line while I'm staging up, trying to get heat in the motor, pull these belts down, get them good and snug. Then you pull yourself a couple times to get all the slack out. So you make sure you're good and tight. This is the power plant in the grave digger. What I run is a big block Chevrolet. It's a 438 cubic inch motor. It's basically a motor like would come in a Corvette, but we change a lot of inner parts in it so that we can run this supercharger on it. Supercharger is known as a blower. You've heard blowers, superchargers, all the same thing. Okay, this supercharger is a 871. This puts boost in the motor, and when you put a lot of boost in the motor, you get a lot of power out of it. All this does is force air in it. You can force more air through the motor, so you need more fuel. So we put this big fuel injection set on it here. This is called a bird catcher injection. They come in different sizes for different motors. But this fuel injection is not like fuel injections that come on new street cars nowadays. This is a serious fuel injection. We run methanol alcohol through the injector here. And this big belt here, this is what you run the supercharger with. It hooks up to your crankshaft, and you can change your pulleys here to get more power out of the motor. It's called overdriving the blower. You overdrive the blower, you turn the blower more than you turn the crankshaft, so you put more boost in the motor. If you want to get more power out of it, we'll come out here and change these pulleys, and we'll build more boost. And once you put more boost in it, then you have to put more fuel in it. As far as everything else on top of the motor, it's got your basic chrome valve covers on it, just like you'd have in maybe your fixed up street car or whatever. And we run these zoomy headers, these exhaust pipes here. These big blown motors, we have to go ahead and get that force out of it so we can pack some new air in it.
Most of the people out here know that when the digger's all together and working good, he's a tough man to beat. Even USA 1 knows that he's got trouble on his hands when he runs against a digger and it's running good.
Digger isn't the red headlights or the spooky paint. It's not the body style or the power plant. It's Dennis Anderson, the wild man.
I was pretty wild, you know. All my high buddies, they always called me a wild guy. You know, they always wanted to ride with me somewhere because I used to cut up in my street car and stuff like that. We used to have car fights, and we had mud bog parties at my dad's house. We started having car fights and just messing with old cars driving around the fields. I used to do a bunch of wild stunts with them, like, you know, like for instance, I took a car one time that didn't even have a motor in it, no transmission or brakes on it, hooked a chain to it with another car and pulled it into a stump just to see how bad it would tear this car up, and I ended up flipping the car over. It launched it into the air and flipped it over. And I felt like, you know, once I jumped out of the car, I was scared at first, and I said, I was pretty lucky that I got out, I felt like, but that drove me into trying something else. I was like, well, I got away with that, so I'll try something else, you know, and we always got bruises, nicks, and cuts and stuff like that, but at the time when you're doing something like that, you're so excited and so hyped up that you don't even, you know, it doesn't even faze you then, you know, you don't feel it until the next day, really. But yeah, we've done some real wild stuff in cars. You know, we'd have head-on collisions. We'd have like a dirt track race, and it ended up being a car fight. You know, it's like kill the other guy. There's just like outlaw demolition derby. We completely demolish the cars. We take breaks. We'd have like heat races. We take breaks, repair the car enough just so it would run, so we could go back out there and smash them up again.
Monster truck racing is a physical, demanding sport for both man and machine. It's not unusual for trucks to flip and roll violently. Those crashes would make armchair athletes out of most mortals, but Dennis Anderson transcends fear. Does he in fact fear anything?
Not really. The only fear that I have in the truck is the truck breaking sometime and the truck turning over. You know, I really hate to trash my body, you know, crush the body out. But really, as far as having fear and getting hurt in the truck, I don't have any fear in getting hurt at all. You know, I get beat around, bruised, or whatever, but any kind of sport you're in, bull riding or something like that, that's pretty close to, you know, we take some rough rides in these trucks, but that's just something you got to live with if you want to do it.
That fearless attitude is a big part of the Gravedigger mystique, and he uses it against his opponents, talking tough before he lines up against some of the other superstars of monster truck racing.
Sometimes I do it just to bluff my friends, you know, the guys that I race with, to put pressure on them, because they know when I say something like that, I'm going for blood, and they fear lining up beside me. You know, it's a 50-50 chance. If the truck stays together, it's going to win. Nobody can beat the Gravedigger in Virginia.
There's some of that tough talk, and most times Anderson backs it up with unbelievable performances, such as the summer of 1989 in Richmond, Virginia. The Gravedigger twice rose from the dead to win the event.
What we had done is we started out, we're building a new motor for the truck. So I took the other motor out of Gravedigger 1 and put in Gravedigger 2. It was a small motor. Okay, well, we just threw it in before we got there 2 days before the race. All right, and I came out and I qualified. I don't know, I probably qualified like 4th or something like that. We always try to qualify first, we get lane choice. All right, I came back for the first round. I think I might have been racing Mad Dog. Okay, I took off. We had a little problem with the carburetors on it. It stumbled and I lost. Okay, but, all right, you come back as a fastest loser. All right, I was a fast loser, so then I turned around and come back, and I won that round, okay, and then I came back to run again, and I got beat. My carburetor stumbled again, I got beat, okay. Well, the truck that I raced ended up breaking, so he couldn't come back, so they had to bring me back to do the round, and I ended up beating the next round. And well, I beat the next 2 rounds because I finally made it to the finals, and I beat in the finals one night.
Almost Possessed is going to take the win, Scott. The only victory he gets on the night is the one that he needed, as he gets the win in the championship over Nightlife on Tuff Trax.
Dennis is fine. To me, he's like anybody else. Dennis has got a good running truck, but Dennis can be beat. And I found him beating him 4 years over, hopefully more than once.
The Gravedigger mystique casts spells over the best monster trucks in the world. When the Gravedigger is right, it's a handful for the likes of 1988 world champion USA 1.
Let's now come down that right lane, but both red lights are on the Gravedigger. You know what that means. It's going to be a Donnybrook. They come out side by side. Half track is close. Scott, I don't know. Oh, what a finish. Whoa, what? Hey, oh, we still got problems down here trying to get the truck shut down.
USA 1 finally does get her slowed. Army, I thought Gravedigger was going over.
What? He came across the finish line. We're looking at the top of his truck. An awesome ride by that youngster out of Virginia.
Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger. Rod Lipsau in USA 1. Too close to call. And so I guess that means we're going to be going back to the videotape timing system right now, and they'll break it down frame by frame.
Look at the angle of the truck, Scott.
Incredible. Let's see if we can hear the times and see who won this race.
Dennis Anderson, when this thing started tonight, you told us you were going after USA 1. You lined up next to him, and you got him. What's going through your mind right now?
Well, I was glad I could pull it off. I pulled to the line. I didn't have second gear, so I had to bump it from low to third and just stay after it, you know, and I was going to nail him to the wall, and that's what I did. Done a little bit of damage to the truck, but who cares? I beat him. Wasn't real. You know, we're here to win the points champion. We got big purse to win, and we got reputations to live up to, and we're going to live up to them.
Win or lose, Dennis Anderson wows his legions of fans with all-out effort. Some drivers take it easy in qualifying, but qualifying for the Gravedigger is showtime.
Now, the walls setting on the left and right of this track present a problem to the drivers. They don't have very much leeway. They get a little bit out of shape. They can really have their hands full. Anderson showed that this afternoon when he completed his qualifying shot. When he came off the second set of vehicles, watch what happened.
Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger loses it at the Milwaukee Mile, and bang, into the wall. He hit her hard. Dennis Anderson, we talked about last week, some of the wilder rides the Gravedigger had been on. We showed them to you here on Tuff Trax, and this is another one for the Gravedigger. Highlights, or as Dennis may tell you on this time, lowlights, Phil. He wasn't happy with that run, but Army, it looked fine until the end, but then things went nuts.
Well, what happened, Anderson says that the back end just took a weird bounce. It settled, bang, bang. Now he's controlled bangs again. It hit 3 times and just came on around, kind of like he was on ice. The Milwaukee Mile concrete wall held him in. A little bit of damage, but Anderson will tell you in a heartbeat, the wall won that one.
Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger, always all out. There you can see the fluid now leaving the Gravedigger. A bad break for Anderson, who's continued to have some problems with wreckage. You can see the damage to the digger. They'll be taking that back to the paint and body shop.
Little damage to the wall, too, Scott.
I'm not sure the wall did win that. Let's go to Dennis with Army Armstrong.
You have any idea what caused the accident?
Not really. I know when I got right down here by the wall, I was on the brakes, and it didn't seem like the brakes was locking up, so I crammed on them real hard, and I got in a real dusty spot, and the truck spun around, and I ended up hitting the wall and hitting the pole and messing the front of the truck up.
All the damage was done to the front suspension?
Yeah, it broke a tie rod in and a steering cylinder and mashed the sheet metal up on the front of it.
The same aggressive style in qualifying put Gravedigger out for the night in Buffalo, New York. But one awesome run is worth the price of admission. Here's the qualifying run of Gravedigger as he hits the second ramp. Look at that leap.
Scott Douglas, I have never, in all the years I've been involved in motorsports, seen anything that violent. We're going to try to get a replay of it and talk through it, but Dennis Anderson stunned everybody. The first jump looked good. Now, when he lands, the front tires hit at the bottom of the ramp. Look what happens. Look at all the air. Bam, he nails it again. The whole suspension under the bottom. You notice pieces starting to fall out. He completely tore all the drivetrain out of that truck. I have never seen a truck go that high and land that hard in my life, and it even stunned Anderson.
I don't know if anybody's ever seen a monster truck fly that high and that far.
Yeah, that was scary. The back wheels landed on the other side of the 12th car. Look at him. He is shaken up.
Other drivers live to beat the Gravedigger. It's always considered an upset, but Dennis Anderson lives for payback time.
And John Moore earlier in the year during an interview said, if I don't do anything else, I'm going to beat the Gravedigger in 1989. Let's see if he can do it. Moore starts to make his move on the far side. Gravedigger trying to hold him off. The final jump. Look at this. Look at this, Scott.
He's done it in front of the home stage fans. John Moore has upset the awesome a big moment in his racing career this is for John Moore, and no problem, fair and square, both trucks at 100%, and Moore beat him.
What happened? He just stayed smooth and level out of that left lane. Gravedigger beating and banging, and Moore just comes back, makes a good straight run at the last jump, airs it out, and goes over the finish line first.
The bounces cost Gravedigger the consistency of John Moore on that run.
Oh yeah, he loved it. You know, I got a pretty bad bounce when I was racing him, and I stepped on the motor kind of hard at the end, but he finally pulled it off and he got me, and he ribbed me for a little while for it. But if we line up tonight, there's no brakes for John Moore.
Dennis Anderson's a hard runner, but I believe this year I'm going to be taking a good chunk out of his truck.
How come?
Well, I'm going to be running a lot harder this year, and I don't think he's going to be expecting that.
Every week, fans flock to see the best in monster truck competition. But there are those who come only to see the black and green wrecking machine. And those fans dress to impress with their Gravedigger fashion statement.
When we first started selling T-shirts, the name is what was selling the shirt in the print. We never had a real good-looking shirt to me, but the people just wanted to have, you know, I don't know, we've had a lot of bikers buy them and stuff like that. You know, I mean, a whole biker group would come up and say, hey, we want that Gravedigger shirt, because they relate to skulls, heads, and stuff like that, you know, and the kids love it too, you know. But we started out booming in T-shirts when we put the Gravedigger logo on it and drippy letters and stuff like that, and it made a pretty neat T-shirt.
The Gravedigger popularity has really come around this year. I think one reason is the good and the eeriness of the truck. The kids seem to really like that, and the design is excellent. The ink on there is puff ink, and it makes the treads stick out like real tires. You can feel it.
Who's your favorite truck out here this evening?
Gravedigger.
How come?
It's a nice looking truck. Best.
All right. The Gravedigger feeds off the energy of a higher power. This power isn't in the engine. It isn't in the body. This power comes from the grandstands. It's the support of millions of loyal Gravedigger fans. It's a loyalty unsurpassed in motorsports.
Mean, determined, and hungry. I'm going to be the world champion this year.
It's time for the Gravedigger to haunt Freedom Hall.
Nobody beats the Gravedigger at Freedom Hall. Ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Anderson, right there, out of Chesapeake, Virginia.
Well, really, right now, what I'm doing is checking the course out. You know, we got to look at the size of this hill. You got to come off this hill pretty easy, it looks like tonight. Get in that flat, you're gonna have to romp the motor and jump to the finish line. And really, what I'm really looking at right now is I want to figure out which lane is going to be the best lane. You know, because if you got a steep ramp over here, you know, you're going to get more air. You still want to get some air, but you don't want to get a lot of air. The guy that gets the most air a lot of times doesn't win. So try to keep the flattest lane I can. Come off this dirt hill pretty easy, because if you don't, you'll just jump and romp it and splatter everything right in the center there. I prefer outdoors, long courses, but I still like these indoor short courses like this too. It's pretty challenging. But to me, when you're inside, there's a little bit more pressure, because you got somebody to meet you at the other end, and that's the wall. You got to get on those brakes. You know, once you go across that finish line, you got to think about stopping, and you can't stop too fast. If you're in a nosedive, you got to touch that motor and get it back down, then put your foot on the brake.
Grave Digger, Freedom Hall, Louisville, Kentucky. Jersey Outlaw lines up beside him, but this is a qualifying run. Still, it sets the tone for the night. Side by side, the Outlaw and the Grave Digger. Outlaw pushing Dennis Anderson and the Digger to the limit. Two brash, cocky drivers. Outlaw wants a piece of him, and Digger won't back down. But that was qualifying. They'll meet again for real a little later on this night in Freedom Hall. First things first, and the Grave Digger. And the first thing this night would be first round competition against Jesse Berge's Playing for Keeps. The Auto Value sponsored ride that's an upstart, a newcomer on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Berge has had some great days, but not this time against the awesome specter of Dennis Anderson's Grave Digger. Another victory as the crowd roars its approval for Dennis Anderson's Grave Digger. He's put Playing for Keeps on the trailer. But next, his arch rival, his nemesis, the brass young driver from New Jersey, Mike Wine's Jersey Outlaw, will be the next test for Dennis Anderson and the Grave Digger on this night in Louisville, Kentucky. Grave Digger and Outlaw battling for supremacy.
Well, the final race of the year is not going to cut slack for anybody. Standing with me right now, the lone hope for the Ford cans, Mike Wine. You say you're going to hammer all these Chevrolets on the final race with a Ford. I don't know if they're believing that or not.
Yeah, I waited all of them to beat their trucks last night. Grave Digger beat his first and tore it up, so I think he was afraid to run me in the first round last night.
Wait a minute here. Dennis Anderson with the Grave Digger. Go ahead.
Hold on a minute. No way. The Ford's not going to dominate tonight. It's going to be a Chevrolet, and it's going to be the Grave Digger.
Takes 10 Chevrolets to even touch one Ford. He'll have his chance next round. Instead of running his mouth, let him run his truck.
Night in Freedom Hall that this was not the Monster Smash final. This was what they came to see. The Ford versus Chevrolet, the superstars of each. Dennis Anderson's Grave Digger, representing the Chevrolet camp. The brass cocky superstar, hell-bent for leather every time out. Against the top Ford on the circuit, the Jersey Outlaw Ford, and Mike Wine, two guys who mouth a lot and then back it up every time they pull their trucks to the line. But this time, head to head, one survives, one goes to the trailer. Grave Digger and Jersey Outlaw, the superstars in a superstar showdown at Louisville's Freedom Hall. This one meant one would survive and one would go home. Dennis Anderson's Grave Digger. Yeah, Mike Wine backed up his step, but the Digger, even in defeat, wows and wins over more fans with this 90-degree straight up and down stand in the awesome Grave Digger. One of the wildest runs of the entire year.
finally get the door. We busted the paint and stuff up. Look at the gap in the bottom of it. But that's all right. We're getting a glass body for it, so what the heck.
Have you heard what's happening with Jersey yet? Is he?
No, I don't know. They said if he doesn't get going, I think I come back. So I need to go up there and find out.
But Jersey Outlaw, despite some mechanical problems in beating Gravedigger, does make it back. And Gravedigger is done for the night. But Anderson scores a victory. A wild ride is what he lives for. He's happy about it.
Dennis, what'd you do to your back of your truck when you went up like that?
Oh, man, I bent the whole roof in.
Fenders and everything?
Fenders and everything.
Right up on the roof.
Yep.
That wild ride was the perfect ending for the Gravedigger. But as you can see, monster truck racing is a rough and tumble sport. How long can Dennis Anderson maintain the spell of the Gravedigger? Will his spell ever be broken? Anderson has big plans to capitalize on his popularity. When truck and body are no longer able to withstand the wear and tear of the TNT Monster Truck Challenge, the legacy of the Gravedigger will live on.
Well, really, as far as the future goes, I don't know how long monster trucking is going to last, or should I say how long I'm going to last. Because this is just like any other sport. You take like boxing or football or bull riding, you know, after a while you get beat so bad you got to give it up, you know, or there's a limit somewhere. I don't know where it is. I'm going to find out one day. But what I'm doing now is I'm opening up a store. It's really a shop in a store to sell four-wheel drive equipment and have a Gravedigger custom 4x4. And hopefully by the time I'm 50 years old, I won't be in the monster truck. I probably won't be in the shape to drive like I do now. And so maybe if I start now, I might get me a chain of stores going. This is what I'm thinking. This is to happen. Then I can just ride around and be a hot shot, you know, and, you know, live an easy life. Because we've had it rough out on the road. We pull a lot of long hours. This, you know, at first when it started out, we used to do it for fun. It used to be an adventure. Now it's a job.
Future looks bright for the Gravedigger, the ultimate monster truck. For now, he lurks in mysterious darkness, awaiting another challenge. Like a ghost, Gravedigger will haunt for years to come.
Remember, you guys, old Gravediggers never die. They just bury their competition.